Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. I'm your host, Maysa Doumaz. To the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, receives the head of the Tunisian government, Najla Bouden, to develop and strengthen the relations between the two countries. The Council of the Nation, or Upper House of Parliament, adopts the text of the finance law for the year 2022. Voters in the remote regions of the country's deep south have already begun to flock on the mobile polling stations to elect their representatives. Those were today's headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, received the head of the Tunisian government, Najla Bouden, who is on a working visit to Algeria. The audience took place at the headquarters of the presidency in the presence of the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance Ayman bin Abdurrahman, Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad Minister Ramtan Al-Amamra, and the presidency's cabinet director, Abdelaziz Khalaf. The head of the Tunisian government emphasized her desire to develop a strategic relationship between Tunisia and Algiers. Let's have a listen.
I had the great honor to meet with the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, to whom I conveyed the greetings of our President, Qais Said. This was part of our periodic meetings that aim to further consolidate our bilateral relations.
اللقاءات اللي بنعملوها مع بعضنا.
Najla Bouden was welcomed by the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance Ayman bin Abdurrahman, Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad Minister Ramtan Al-Amamra, and the Minister of Relations with the Parliament, Basma Azwar. The head of the Tunisian government, Najla Bouden, arrived on Thursday morning at the International Houari Boumediene Airport. She was welcomed by the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance Ayman bin Abdurrahman, Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad Minister Ramtan Al-Amamra, and the Minister of Relations with the Parliament, Basma Azwar. The objective of this visit is to improve the relations between the two countries in her first official visit to Algeria. The Council of the Nation, or Upper House of Parliament, adopted on Thursday the text of the finance law for the year 2022 during a plenary session chaired by Salah Goujil, President of the Council, in the presence of the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance Ayman bin Abdurrahman, and members of the government. As a reminder, the 2022 Finance Bill was adopted by the ANP last week. The finance law for the year 2022, adopted unanimously by the members of the Council of the Nation, enshrining the principles of social justice, equality before the law, and physical justice, on Thursday by the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance Ayman bin Abdurrahman, adding that people voted for the consecration of the social policy of the state through the optimal use of resources and the orientation of subsidies to needy categories, eliminating the wastefulness that was widespread in the past. The 2022 finance law is crucial for the future of the nation. This new legislative milestone comes in addition to the provisions aimed at laying the foundation for economic growth, taking into account the priorities set by the government, which are in line with the program of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, particularly with regard to improving the business climate, productive and wealth-creating investments, import control, and the promotion of sectors favoring non-hydrocarbon exports. The Prime Minister added that the state is working to facilitate the implementation of social economic projects placing greater emphasis on the realization of public expenditure. On his side, the President of the Council of the Nation, or Upper House of Parliament, Salah Goujil, insisted on the importance of the next elections. He also called on Algerians to consolidate the democratic institutes of the state, making their voices heard to convey the true message of Algeria. The President of the Council of the Nation, Salah Goujil, returned on the visit of the Zionist Defense Minister in Morocco that he described as a provocation that aims to undermine Algeria. Salah Goujil said that things are clear with the visit of the latter after the one carried out by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who had threatened Algeria from Morocco, where there was no reaction from the Moroccan government. Enemies are mobilizing more and more to undermine Algeria, which is targeted by this visit. He added that Algeria's position remains unchanged regarding the Western Sahara. It is all about people's self-determination, and Algeria has always supported it. The Sahrawi people must enjoy their right to self-determination. Goujil concluded that the UN has decided that Western Sahara is not Moroccan to choose its destiny, whether it chooses independence or annexation to another country. It is sovereign in its decisions. The reactions and condemnations following the visit of the Zionist entity's minister to Morocco caused serious turmoil on the social front. The former minister officer, El-Marnisi, warned against the repercussions of the security and military normalization, which goes against interests of Morocco, who goes out in thousands to demonstrate and denounce this state betrayal. Ines Killo.
Agreement described as a deal of shame, which inflamed Moroccan streets' unprecedented protests. Demonstrations against the visit of the Zionist defense minister to Morocco on Wednesday were suppressed by the security forces, including one in front of the parliament headquarters in Rabat, while other actions are planned for Monday in the kingdom on the occasion of the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. The partnership between Morocco and the Zionist entity has just been formalized after the signing of a security cooperation agreement, the first of its kind with an Arab country, an agreement with serious repercussions on the security and stability of the Maghreb and the North African region. The former Moroccan military officer Abdelrahim El-Marnisi warned against the Moroccan Zionist plot that targets Algeria because of its support for the right of the two peoples, the Palestinians and the Sahrawis, to self-determination. An agreement that provoked condemnations for Moroccan non-governmental organizations who expressed their indignation, denouncing a disaster and, even more, a betrayal for the Palestinian cause. For its part, the Moroccan Observatory Against Normalization called on the Moroccan people to raise their voices, to express their indignation and support the Palestinian cause as a national cause. The visit of the Zionist Minister of Defense to Morocco provoked the anger and indignation of several associations and representatives of civil society in Morocco opposed to this normalization.
Human Rights Watch called for a fair and impartial trial in the case of the Moroccan journalist Omar Radi, sentenced to 6 years in prison. The investigative journalist and human rights activist was convicted of spying and rape at the end of an unfair trial. Human Rights Watch said in a quote, "If the authorities want to show that the Moroccan courts will judge Omar Radi as any citizen, they must grant him a fair trial, which he has been deprived of so far." End of quote. In a statement issued at the end of the session devoted to the situation in Libya, the Security Council reiterated its support for the elections of November 24, 2020. 2021, according to a roadmap resulting from the Libyan political dialogue and resolution, while affirming Libya's strong commitment to the sovereignty, independence, territorial integrity, and national unity. As part of the fight against terrorism, the Secretariat Services under the National People's Army ANP arrested on Wednesday in Ghardaya province the terrorist Shriki Bilal, known as Hudayfa, who was active within a terrorist organization in the Sahel region. The in-depth investigations led to arrest 3 other individuals. This operation retraced the effectiveness and the efforts made by the ANP units to fight the terrorism scourge in our country and ensure the security and stability throughout the national territory. In the province of Oran, the security services arrested the person in charge of communication of the terrorist organization MAK named Mala Yugharta, known as Yuba, who lives in Azazga, the province of Tizi Ouzou. The terrorist was arrested where he was preparing to leave the national territory, headed to the Spanish coast. The Independent National Authority for Elections, ANI, prepares its teams in all the provinces of the country. In the province of Constantine, for example, 20,000 people are mobilized across 215 polling stations, which are already disinfected. Rania Al-Bahri has more details.
In Constantine province, everything is ready to host the elections of November 27th. The province has 215 centers and nearly 20,000 supervisors. All the electoral offices will be disinfected. Media professionals are working on a roadmap established in advance for the success of the media coverage of this event. Outings throughout the 12 municipalities of the province are carried out to provide complete and transparent information. As for the inhabitants, they will attend this electoral event with a heart filled with hope. Even if they are housewives, women must vote to contribute to the change and add a plus to the country. Voting is an important event for the Algerians. This event would mark the beginning of the change.
Voters in the remote regions of the country's deep south have already begun to flock on Wednesday individually or in small groups to the mobile polling stations to elect their representatives to the People's Communal Assemblies and Provincial Assemblies of the November 27th. More details with Ines Kello.
With the beginning of the polls in the far south of the country, the voting process for the local elections is taking place in good conditions. In the mobile office located in the village of Alian, which is 200 kilometers away from Msmisa in the municipality of Tizi, where the nomads and inhabitants of the isolated regions have performed their duties. It's a transparent and fair election and there are no problems. We have paths that we must pass all over, and they are the places where the nomads are. We were in Krika and now we are in Msmisa, and the elections are taking place in good conditions. There are 2 polling stations in Ingassen and Irilin in the municipality of Tizi, where voters are distributed among them, for which all the human and material means were mobilized in order to allow the nomadic voters and those from remote areas to fulfill their civic duty. Nearby village voters, like in Gzam province, also aspire to a better tomorrow. These mobile offices travel long distances to enable the nomads to vote, with great awareness of the importance of this electoral event.
In anticipation of the November 27th local elections, Interior Minister Kamal Beljoud informed citizens that special measures will come into effect starting from Friday midnight until Sunday, November 28th at 5 a.m. As part of the celebration of the 67th anniversary of the outbreak of November Revolution, the 189th anniversary of alliance to Emir Abdel Qadir, the Minister of Culture, Wafa Sha'lal, launched a scientific conference. The advisor to the President of the Republic, the President of the High Islamic Council, and the Secretary General of the High Commission of the Amazigh language took part in this conference. The participants emphasized the need to preserve rare manuscripts and the importance of digital collection of the National Library to preserve the collective memory. Concerning the economic sector, more precisely exports, tons of goods made in Algeria are now flooding the African market. 28 semi-trailers are heading to Nouakchott and Dakar as part of Algeria's participation in the international fair, which will take place from the 6th to the 20th of December 2021. More details with Manal Maafa.
Several tons of Algerian products are exported to Mauritania and Senegal, an opportunity to commercialize the Algerian product in the African markets. The convoy is composed of 25 semi-trailers to Nouakchott in Mauritania. In addition to 3 semi-trailers to Dakar, they carry goods such as oil, plastic, foodstuffs, and cement. The African market and the benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Area are an opportunity for Algeria to boost its exports. We gave the kickoff of the most important caravan organized by Logitrans. Since the opening of this passage, more than 100 convoys were sent who will work by the state's policy, which is to encourage non-hydrocarbon exports. This convoy is organized the framework of the efforts made to accompany the Algerian economic operators in the export of their products and to facilitate their access to the African markets.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was it for our news edition. Thanks for tuning into our program. Good night.